Oi, oi, oi. Think, film, believe, three. Oh, yeah. So Lex, think, film, believe, three. Think, film, believe, three. You listen to one? Did you listen to two? Okay, if you listen to one and two, you don't know nothing, you go back. You go like think, feel, and believe one, think, feel, and believe two, think, feel, and believe three, because all these are going in succession, you see. Now we're on number 3. So if you didn't go see 1, 2, you go see 1, 2, and then you come back to 3, okay? Okay, with me. So that's... Okay, where are we going? Where are we going? I don't know. I just keep going. So we talked about my first blindly, okay? Blindly. See, this is it. This is what I've never heard anybody talk about before. And like I said, there's a lot of information out there about, manifestation and a lot of details that people, but see, the power is inside you, and it's in each and every one of us. It's like the God-given right. When Jesus said, out of the goodness of a heart, a man calleth forth good things. Okay, I know we got to be politically correct. Out of the goodness of a person's heart, okay, because we got women out there. We don't exclude you. Don't exclude you. Don't exclude you. No exclude you. So I'm gonna change it. Okay, Jesus, you understand? It's okay. He says it's okay. He says it's okay. He says with all the love in the world, it's okay. He says yes. That's what went through my head. Yes. So, out of the goodness of a person's heart, a person calleth forth good things. Out of the evilness of a heart, a person calls out evil things. So it dates way back to when, we won't go into any further details there with that, but that's where it all started. That's where the first instruction was started, and then it evolved. It evolved into something that we're going to get to later again too. But I want to make sure that we are going through what I tell you, the blind experience. The blind experience is something that I have never heard anybody talk about. I mean, I think I've heard so many, famous people say, and people that understand the power that is actually within them and the manifestation and the process of what you're doing. But it's really all connected to the basic aspects about how you think, feel, and believe about things. And I want to make sure that I share how you personally think, feel, and believe about things, because that's the masses. I want to reach the masses. I want to reach the big crowds, not just those certain few that kind of have an understanding for it. And if you do have a little bit of an understanding for it, this is for you too. Okay? Because this is part of some things you probably never heard either. Okay. I mean, we can all say, "Oh yeah, I understand." But are you using the power that is within you? I mean, because you can do great big things. You see, you can. Okay. So next example. Okay. And I think of this one. And there was that. Right? This was probably the next biggest one for me that I did blindly. That I didn't really, blindly. I mean, it's like doing it without understanding or knowing just what the heck's going on, what you're doing. And I was a young man. I'm still a young man. Yeah. Compared to how old that I think, feel, and believe that I will be. Because however you think, feel, and believe about anything in your life is how it's going to be for you. Whether you're young, old, or whatever you feel, and believe about it is how it's going to be for you. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, okay? Okay, so my next one was... I spent my time in the Navy. Great experience. I think every young man, anybody that's ever been in the military, understands when I say every young person should go in the military. I don't know. It's just, it gives you the ability, and I don't want to turn it into a preaching thing. It's just a little moment here. It gives you the ability to go in, and get a job in a craft, that you're doing, and then do that for 4 years, and then decide what you want to do with your life, So it's a good time. And then you grow as a person. Okay, but no, we don't want to go. So I was in the Navy, got out of the Navy, and I was going to I subscribed to, while I was in the Navy, I subscribed to a magazine called Income Opportunities. And in that publication, it said America's Next Boom Business. And it talked about packaging and shipping stores, right? And so I read this thing about packaging and shipping stores and how they were going to become popular and blah, 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 blah. And I decided to go for it, So I was going to call it Shipmate Mail Service Center. We're your shipmate in the mail service business. Yeah, come on in. We're your shipmate in the mail service business. Yeah. So I was going to call Shipmate Mail Service Center. Pretty clever, I think. Too bad that name didn't use, because I think it's pretty cool. But anyway, so I went on that, so I was still in the Navy at the time, and and I was going to do that, and then that was my plan, and I got out and started planning and doing business plan, getting with the SBA, doing all the stuff, putting all the things together, just kind of doing my own study, really, basically, about it, and while I was in the Navy, I was able to save some money too, so I had some money to invest into it, and I was going to open up I think I was going to take over, I'm pretty sure. I think I was going to take over where an existing location used to be. A series of events led me to go into to buy what would have been my closest competitor. Yeah, I walked into that store, and it's still there today. And there's a man that's running it. Yeah, he is. And they were going to be my closest competitor. And I walked in. Well, how's it going? And they're like, oh, well, fine, but we want to sell it. So, booyah, yeah. It's always better to buy an established business. That way, you already have an existing clientele coming in the door, right? So I had, can you imagine this? This was a lot. It was kind of sort of, not a lot, but I mean, back in the 80s, back in the early 80s, I was able to save 10 grand, right? Peanuts today. But I was able to take $5,000 and I bought this business. Well, the thing about this business is that, if I bought the business, then and I was able to pay it off at the end of the second year, I wouldn't be responsible for giving them 5% of the net profits for the third year, because it was the deal that was structured that I had to give them 5% of the profits for the first year, the second year, but if I paid it off in the end of the second year, I wasn't going to be responsible for the third. You see, so right then and there, I was able to buy that business. I started buying it. I started buying it. I bought it. Started running it, and then again, an innate desire was put inside of me that said, I want to pay this business off before the end of 2 years, because if I pay it off before the end of 2 years, I won't be responsible for giving 5% of the business. I won't be responsible for having to pay the previous owner 5% of the business. Oh gosh, I want to pay this business off before the end of 2 years. I want to pay this business off before the end of 2 years. So you understand how the process works. It's like this innate desire that was put into me. I was consistent with my thought. I was doing it blindly. And so periodically, every month, every week, I was thinking of this, it was the innate desire that was in me. And we do that with things. You do that with good things. I'm sorry, but you do that with bad things too. So you got what you're thinking. You got what you're thinking. And so I kept that in. And I kept on desiring that. I kept on having that desire. And then you know what? Before the end of the second year, I paid that business off. And again, it was like I did it blindly. I had no idea that I would be able to have the ability to even do that. But at the end of the second year, I paid it off. And I wrote them a check, and I was done. And that back then, I bought that business for $30,000, right? And for a young man, right? For a young man at 24, because I got out of the Navy and I bought that business at 24 years old. So bought it with $5,000 in faith, right? Oh my gosh, I've been through the ringers. I'll tell you. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but, I knew it was something that was going to happen. And, and I did that one blindly. And at the end of 2 years, I paid it off. And I was like, oh, wow, but I was still in the blind stage. I didn't really realize what I was doing. And, but I accomplished that. And it was just that there's another notch. There's another notch in what I'm telling you. And if if you think, feel, and believe, you need to go to number Think, believe,